We're live, Chase. Not actually live this time. We're recording this one Thursday. UCF BYU preview game is on the road in Orlando Saturday afternoon. Finally, not a late tip-off for BYU fans. Don't have to. If you're an East Coast BYU fan, you don't have to stay up till midnight once again. You finally get a normal tip-off time, Chase.
Yeah, it's actually a huge blessing for, I think, everyone watching. It's kind of the trick of the trade of being a BYU fan. Things happens in football. Like, you're going to be up late every Saturday night during football season. Basketball, it's Tuesdays and Saturday nights. But today we finally get a break, or this week.
Yeah, football's brutal, especially when you do media and stuff at the football games. You're getting out at like 3 a.m. You're at Lavelle Edwards and the cleanup crew's there, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is late.
This is late.
It's fun, but it's late.
Yeah.
Anyhow, BYU UCF preview today. Chase, real quick, Baylor BYU. The dust is kind of settled now. Whirlwind of a night. All the Conor McGregor stuff. Everything's kind of okay. We're back to where we are. Let's talk about the basketball now. How are you feeling about BYU in this current moment?
Feeling great about BYU. I think the effects of Tuesday night are still riding high in my mind, and I think in everyone's mind who thinks about them. I think the biggest indicator was Lenardi pushed BYU up. I think they're only like the third team out now of the tournament in his projections, which is huge. I mean, just a massive leap from where they were. I mean, earlier last week, they weren't even in that graphic. You couldn't find the name, right? BYU. And so they've made leaps, I think, not just as a team, but in the national perception. You have the big Cannon Catchings game. That's a story for a lot of draft people, right? And then Yegor having this stretch of a couple of weeks now really showing his talent. It's all coming together to bring this momentum. And you know, good press helps the team as long as they don't get distracted by it, right? And lean too much into it. But BYU is in a great spot right now. They get to travel to a team that is beatable and prepare for a really good Arizona team with another chance to grab a huge win. But that being said, obviously you cannot look over UCF. We're going to be talking about that this episode. But feeling good about BYU right now. Just a huge win Tuesday night. It was amazing.
Going into this UCF game, I don't know about you, but I am worried about a bit of a letdown spot. You win 3 in a row. Tuesday night was just a wild, wild experience if you're in the Marriott Center and everything. You win in overtime, tough game against a really good team. And then you go on the road, you got to travel multiple time zones, and all of a sudden you're going against a very frisky UCF team, because if you base this game off Lenardi's bracketology, all of a sudden this is a bubble off. I mean, this is UCF is a last 4 in and BYU's first 4 out. So therefore, this is an easy trap spot if you're BYU, but you can't let it be, because this is a massive, massive chance to knock off a second road win in the conference.
Yeah, and just a golden opportunity to do it. I think UCF, they're not a bad team by any means, but they're certainly beatable, and I think BYU actually matches up well with them. But like you said, it's a tough spot to be in. Letdown games happen all the time, especially in college basketball where anyone can beat anyone. You're going for 4 in a row here. You're kind of the hot team right now. UCF coming off of a really hard-fought game against Kansas. They're hungry for a win to get back on track. And if you're the Cougars, you got to travel 2 time zones, right? And you got to make a long trip out to Orlando, play far away from home, and kind of adjust your schedule and whatever. And let's be honest, they haven't been great on the road. They had that one win at Colorado where they really came out in the second half. Other than that, we've seen them come out flat, without energy, lack of discipline and fundamentals. We think this team's turned a corner, but I think we'll really see on Saturday if that travels and if it's able to get them the edge over UCF.
And BYU fans, if you remember last year, the game at UCF, what a gross grit and grind game that was. It took a Ali Khalifa masterclass, I guess you could say, and he had that dunk that's been going around Twitter right now. This is not going to be an easy game. I texted you beforehand. I feel like this game's going to be played a lot more similar to the Texas Tech game a couple weeks ago, where I'm not saying BYU is going to lose or one way or the other, but I feel like this is going to be a really tough, close game, and it's going to come down to, like you said, fundamentals, free throw shooting, not turning the ball over, which if it comes down to not turning the ball over, I lean towards BYU in this game, but we'll get into that in a second. You look at UCF right now, in the Big 12, their wins are at Texas Tech. That's a big win. Home Kansas, home Colorado, lost to Kansas by about 1,000. So lost by 99-48 at home. They beat Colorado by 1 at home, lost at Arizona, beat Arizona State on the road, only lost by 1 to Houston, which is, I know. And then at Iowa State, they lost in a really high-scoring game. TCU, and they beat TCU at home, and then lost at Kansas on Tuesday night in a close one as well. So like
what's that home record, Carter?
Home record, 0-1, 0-2, 2-1. 1-1, 500.
Sorry,
2-2.
500 at home. But they've played like that Houston game. I'm assuming was in Orlando, right?
Yes, it was.
They play well. They play well at home. UCF's got a great fan base. I went to the football game out there, and people are passionate. People love their school down there. So home field advantage or home court advantage is definitely a thing coming into this game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for BYU in this spot. And do we want to get into keys of the game yet, or do we want to talk about more of the tournament resume right now?
Let's do let's talk keys of the game. We'll finish out with tournament resume. Let's do it.
Okay, I like that. We'll switch it up today. A little something different. So keys to this game, in my opinion, is keep UCF out of the paint and slow down Keyshawn Hall. That's it. Those are the two main keys right there, because this is a game where BYU, look, if BYU goes man in this game, you're going to have foul trouble in this spot, and you're going to have important guys get put in awkward positions when UCF wants to drive, and it's going to be easy because it's a road game, a little home cooking by refs typically. It's going to be a little bit tight whistle. BYU can get stuck if they go man. I think there's going to be a lot of zone in this game, and got to figure out how to stop Keyshawn Hall.
Absolutely. Shifty guards. They're pretty guard heavy. Top 3 scorers are guards here in UCF squad. And BYU did win this Baylor game, but the guards for Baylor absolutely cooked. I mean, we talked about VJ Edgecombe a whole lot Saturday night, along with Rob Wright had an amazing game as well. It's still a problem for the Cougars. I mean, they are typically on the wrong side of a matchup when you have a very athletic downhill kind of guard on the ball. So you're right. They're going to have to probably go zone. The problem if you go zone is, first off, it wasn't working against Baylor. They got open shots pretty much every time you ran sets. That's genius of Scott Drew and a credit to the Bears. Can UCF do that? They're not as good as a shooting team as Baylor. I describe them as pretty streaky, but they can get hot, especially on their own gym. I think along with the defense, Carter, they need to dominate the boards here. They need to be able to grab rebounds, keep UCF off of any second chance points, and really be a presence down low. I think this is a huge game for Keba Keita, who's really, I think the past couple of weeks in this run BYU's had, solidified himself as the starting center. Foose comes in and plays amazing minutes, and it's no detriment to him. But Keba just fits so well with what BYU has been doing right now and what's led them to success. And so he needs to be a big part of this game. He has a chance to go, double-digit rebounds and to really be a force down low, especially if they're going to run zone. The toughest part of running a zone is who to box out when the shot goes up, right? Because you don't have a man that you're glued to. And so you need to be able to find the ball and find a man, get your butt into him, and grab that rebound. So it's going to be huge. UCF also, BYU's, I think they're still a top 10 in the country in rebounding. UCF isn't one of the best in the Big 12, and so they'll have a chance here to really dominate that side of the ball.
Yeah, and the other thing is I want to see Yegor do what he did in the second half against Colorado and just dictate the tempo of this game. Really decide how BYU wants to play. Don't let UCF dictate what's going on. And control the game, find open spots, push the tempo a little bit, and it's going to be – I'm excited for it. I'm just really curious to see how BYU does. And this is not a diss to Colorado or, a diss or hating on that win at Colorado, but it's time to beat a tournament team on the road. We've talked about these building blocks going forward. Colorado, got your road win. Cincinnati, beat a physical team. Boom. And then Baylor, you get a big-time quad one win. Now it's time to do that and beat that quad one team on the road. And this is your chance, and I think, spoiler alert, I think BYU actually does get it done in UCF.
Love it. It's a wonderful opportunity. Again, we talked about this. They have so many quad one games, and none of them are really, out of reach. You look at maybe, going to Iowa State, you're like, okay, that's a little bit of a wash maybe. That they could surprise us, and they can. But this opportunity, right, to stack on this win from Baylor, go to a UCF team who you've seen before, right? BYU has at least, although, coaches, players, most of them are gone, whatever. But to go to a UCF team who's beatable and who you will probably be favored against and get another quad one win. To do it on the road would be huge for the narrative, for the team's confidence, and for going into this Arizona game, which is going to be like one of the games of the week if they can both come in with wins under their belt. Arizona obviously super hot right now, and BYU on a roll as well. So just a huge opportunity, and this is the type of opportunity you need to seize if you want to not be sweating it out Selection Sunday, which as of right now, that's where BYU would be if the season ended today. But if you can grab this quad one win, especially do it on the road, it's huge. We talk about quad one wins and how important they are. Any win is important, but the committee looks at everything and they want to see, can you actually win on the road too? Like if they see quad one wins and they're all at home, they're not nearly as impressed as if you pull it off away from your home gym. So this is a chance to do it. I mean, UCF quad one is an amazing opportunity. I don't want to sound like I'm dissing UCF, but you don't typically get that opportunity against the Knights to call it a quad one game. So it's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do predictions and MVP right now. Like I said, we're switching it up today. We'll take a break, and then we'll do some NCAA tournament stuff going forward. So MVP and prediction.
Yeah, well, I already know yours, Karter, because you've committed to saying it every time.
I actually haven't. I have a different one today.
Do I say?
But
no.
I think you're going to steal it.
No, well, maybe. I already foreshadowed it earlier. I think the MVP of this game is Kei Bakeda. I think he has a massive impact. I think he's just a beast on the boards. I think he also scores a bit too. I think BYU has really figured it out offensively. I think Kei was a big threat on the lob and on that pick and roll there. And I really see his impact coming defensively and on the glass. I think he has a monster game in that area and sets the tone for BYU down low. As far as score predictions go, I think BYU wins this game. I think it's high-paced. I think it's up and down, but maybe a little bit ugly for both teams. Not exactly the highest shooting percentage like we saw Tuesday. So I'm going to say BYU wins 76 to 69, and they walk away with another quad one win.
What are you smiling about?
Nothing. I'm just happy.
Stealing my score predictions?
It's a great day, dude.
I love it. No, I'm not picking Yegor Demon as my MVP, even though he is my MVP in this game, and it will be dictated based on Yegor's play, in my opinion. But I'm going with Mawit Mag in this game as my MVP, and the one I'm looking for mostly because he's going to have the task of going against Keyshawn Hall. Chase, for BYU fans that are listening to this that don't know who he is, let me just read you some game logs real quick. Pulling it up right now. All right, here we go. At Kansas on Tuesday, 34 points. TCU, 26. At Arizona State, 40. At Arizona, 22. At Texas Tech, 22. In these bigger games, he has shown up. Mawit Mag is going to have to be on him like a seatbelt. It's got to be clamps the entire afternoon, and he can't get into foul trouble, and he's got to be able to slow him down. If you slow him down, you have a real good chance at winning this ball game. So he's going to be my MVP in this one. I think BYU does get it done. I like BYU 77-75 in this one, winning it on the road. I think they're going to be about a 1-point favorite, 1.5-point favorite when Vegas comes out with their odds, but I like BYU getting it done on the road.
I love that. I love that pick for MVP. That's it's unique, Karter. We keep it fresh here.
I know.
Keep it fresh here on Church Ball.
I got to keep people on their toes. Everyone's like, Karter's going to pick Yegor. Oh, he's going to say they need to dictate the tempo, ball movement. The offense was stagnant. No. We're switching it up today.
Yeah, but they do need to do that.
Yeah, they do need to do those things. Exactly.
I know we sound like broken records, but that's what needs to happen.
And knock down your free throws. Yeah, exactly. Let's take a quick break and let's do some tournament resume stuff. Chase, let's go through BYU's tournament resume and how they can end up hearing their name on Selection Sunday. So right now, BYU's quad resume, they're 1-4 in quad 1 games, 3-2 in quad 2 games. A lot of this can change right now. Right now, for example, Utah is 75 in the net. That Utah loss at Utah is likely going to turn into a quad 2 loss, and their game at the end of the season in the Marriott Center is going to be a quad 3 game. So going forward, Chase, what's the key for BYU to hear their name on Selection Sunday comfortably?
There's multiple things. One, they need to keep their quad 3, quad 4 record clean. Right now, 4-0 in quad 3, 6-0 in quad 4. That's pretty much a cannot do. Big no. They only have on the schedule right now one quad 3 game left, but like you just said, that Utah game senior night is going to end up quad 3. So that's going to be home Kansas State here in a few weeks, and then that last game of the season. I think we could tag those as you can't lose. Can't lose those games if you want to comfortably be in the tournament. Committee's not kind to quad 3 losses. And honestly, they should beat those teams right in the Marriott Center. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to win a few more quad 1 games here, Karter. The good news is you have like 9 left. A lot of chances to get it done, both home and away, against teams that we've seen BYU hang with the type of caliber, right? We saw it Tuesday with Baylor. So I think you need, of the next 11 games, 6 more wins to feel really good. 5 more gets you feeling bubbly. It depends on which games you have won. But you need 5 to 6 wins. 6 is great, which means you get 3 more quad 1, which gives you 4 total. I'd put the number at 4 quad 1 wins. You're feeling good as BYU. I think you're going dancing in the tournament.
Yeah, I think 6 and 5 the rest of the way gets BYU into March Madness. 5 or less, to be honest, I think you're going to need a little help in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City, and that's almost a death sentence because we've seen the committee, they don't value conference tournament games as much, and you don't want to be in a position where you can't lose in your conference tournament. Look, NC State had the miracle run last year, but there are 100 examples of teams that were on the bubble, on the outside looking in, and even though they won a game or two in their conference tournament, didn't matter. The committee does not value the conference tournament as much. It's been clear. It's evident. 6 and 5 the rest of the way. Like you said, Chase, gets you 3 quad 1 wins. And the key is to get one of these higher quad 1 wins against home Arizona, at Arizona, Kansas, at Iowa State. Those are your tough games going forward. I think you got to win one of those if you want to go dancing. You got to pull off an upset in one of those games. If you do that, I think you got a good chance of going to the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. I think the committee values seeing, like, can you make a splash in the tournament? That's what they pride themselves on. And they need to see you pull off a big win. It happened last year. They saw BYU take on Kansas, there in Lawrence, and that they were going to be a tournament team anyway. But that was kind of the start of, like, okay, this BYU team's pretty much in now because of this huge win. And so you're absolutely right. And they have a lot of opportunities, right? They get to play a quad 1 game, Cincinnati, West Virginia here next month. They get to also take on Arizona. Arizona State is a quad 1 game as of now. We'll see if that stays. And then Iowa State is your last quad 1 away game that you need to get done. 1-1 from here on out, Karter, gets you in the tournament. That's 6 and 5. That gets you single digit seed in the tournament, in the Big 12 tournament. That gets you a bye. And I think that's the goal right now. So if you go 1-1, you're BYU, you're feeling pretty dang good. Pretty dang good.
And going forward with the Big 12 tournament, you got to be the 8 seed. 8 seed gets you the bye. If you're anything better than the 8 seed, great. You're in a really, really good spot. 9 seed, you're playing on Tuesday, man. That means you got to win 5 games in a row to win the Big 12 title. And you talked about the committee and, can you make a splash in the tournament? I also think, look, this is still entertainment. It's TV. Star power matters, and that's something BYU actually has this year with guys like Yegor and Cannon Catchings, and having that star power does help your case when it comes time for March. You think about, 5, 6, 7 years ago when Trae Young and Oklahoma snuck their way into the tournament. And look, they got bounced immediately, but there's a reason. They were like, hey, we're making sure if they're a bubble team, we want Trae Young in this tournament. We want that star power. And the other thing is, this brings me to my next point. Let me paint a scenario, Chase. Can I paint a scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm listening. I'm all ears. I can see it now.
This is going to take a lot of work, but I hope this happens just for content and TV standpoint. Let's say BYU sneaks into the tournament.
I know what you're going to say.
They go to the first 4. They sneak their way in as an 11 seed, and they win their game in the first 4. BYU's an 11 seed. Let's say Kentucky starts slipping quite a bit, and they end up being a 6 seed. You're telling me the tournament's not going to want to put Kentucky versus BYU in the first round of the tournament? That would be perfect TV. That would be gold.
It would be that's best case scenario. To be completely honest with you, that is what we want to see. Absolutely,
that is what we want to see. Look, and I'm not saying like as a vengeful anti-Mark Pope thing by any means. I like Mark Pope, and I think he's doing a great job at Kentucky. But just for content, for the sake of this podcast, because the numbers are going to shoot way up that week. That's going to be our most viewed episode, is if BYU versus Kentucky play. And it would be a super fun game, too, as well.
It would. We would have to make a trip. We would be on the scene. It would be incredible.
Yeah, we would have to fly you to. We'd have to fly you to the game.
Just me?
I don't think I would make it.
What?
You think we'd get? I don't think we'd get. I don't think we'd get both get credential is the thing.
Well, maybe Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll be a photo credential. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's my dream sicko scenario is BYU versus Kentucky in the first round, or maybe even the second round of the tournament. That would be awesome.
What's your dream? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say just a lot of work to get there, and you got a lot to do. So
yeah, what's your dream Big 12 scenario for BYU at this point in the season?
Oh, like Big 12 tournament?
Yeah.
Oh, it's BYU Utah on Wednesday in the Big 12 tournament in the second round. I think that's what everyone wants to see. That'd be great.
Grabs that 8 or 7 Big 12 seed. They get Utah knocks off, whoever they play in that on Tuesday and gets to play BYU on Wednesday. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's the dream scenario right there. That'd be such a fun game to go to.
You get one more. You get squeeze every last bit of juice out of that game. That rivalry. These players. The JT clip will circulate again. It'd be awesome.
The JT clip will not get posted again, though. We made a promise.
That's right, we did. Well,
Chase, we're giving out bulletin board material.
And it's true. I mean, we're the reason they lost that game in the first place. So maybe we can reverse.
We're 3-1 though.
We're 3-1
because
good.
We might have changed this BYU offense.
Might have.
Some are saying. Inside sources are saying. Don't take that seriously. Anyhow, anything else before we go?
No, other than just excited for big games coming up. 4 quad one in a row here, Carter. Big opportunities. Every quad one win is gold at this point, and I don't want to give anyone bulletin board material, but they're dang winnable right now. Dang winnable games here for the Cougars, and it's going to be fun.
Dare I say every game in the Big 12 is winnable, and that's more how I view the Big 12 from a national title contender's perspective, because I think every team in this conference is definitely beatable. We've seen it so far.
Absolutely. You get, West Virginia skidding. You have, UCF taking Kansas to the wire. It's just that type of conference, and BYU's in the middle of it, navigating their way through it. I think they fell victim to it at the beginning of this conference play, right? Dropping that 4 out of 5 and losing to teams that they probably should have beat, whatever. Now they're looking to make the run of their own and be on their side of things. So
I love it. Well, that's it from us. At Churchball Pod on everything, at Chase_Roger0, at CarterB8. Hit that subscribe button. Follow on Twitter. A lot of great stuff. We'll be in the building Tuesday night for Arizona BYU. Cannot wait for that one. Late night tip off, and we'll do a live. Maybe we'll go. Should we record or do a live reaction after the UCF game? We'll tweet it out.
We'll see what people want.
Record.
See what the people want.
All right. Well, still up in the air. Anyhow, we'll have a UCF reaction pod. So we'll see y'all Saturday.